Welcome to the 3% Podcast, the sort of bi-weekly podcast brought to you by Open Letter and 3%. I'm Chad Post from Open Letter, joined as always by Tom Roberts from Riff Raff.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm alive. That's about all I can say.
You were in Mexico last week, right?
Yeah, I was in Mexico, which was wonderful. The traveling down to Mexico and the traveling back from Mexico was the worst airport experiences I've ever had. United Airlines fucked me so many times.
It happens.
I had to buy a separate ticket to get there because they weren't going to fly me in until Wednesday or Thursday when I was supposed to be there on Sunday.
Jesus.
Yep. I had to, from the airport, I had to buy a ticket on my phone to be able to make my flight that they would not let me on, essentially. It's a bit complicated, but it was the worst thing I've ever experienced. And most people didn't make it to Guadalajara that were on my flight. Through Houston. Most of them didn't get on there. Most of them missed their connections. People were delayed for days. It was a nightmare. So I made it, but Mexico was great. Like the book fair was wonderful. It's very nice, like to be in 80-degree weather for a few days. But everyone's such a better book fair than like Guadalajara or than Frankfurt or London. Like it's much more friendly. People are more collegial for the most part. Everything's just a little bit happier, a little bit more interesting. I really enjoyed it.
Is that because there's less money?
I don't know if there's necessarily less money. I think there's fewer people who are posing to try and increase their sense of self-worth by having information and or creating clicks. Okay.
I mean, I think a lot of that, what goes on in Europe is based on money and the potential to make money. But
perhaps I don't know. I think that there's a good section of the publishing industry, which is the part that I find to be fairly gross, was just not there, which is great. Like specifically various agents. Although there were a couple of agents that I do not care for, but I won't talk about them. And then there were a number of agents that I met with that were fantastic. There was a publisher that I met with that she had emailed me, Leonora, from, I forget what the name of the publisher is right now. But she emailed me and I was like, I don't recognize this person's name. It's from Eterna Cadencia Editora. I was like, I don't recognize this person's name. And I didn't look up her website or anything. I just agreed to go meet. And when I got there, I started looking through her catalog and I was like, Jesus, you got like Onetti, she's got all these great authors. It's like really very cool. And apparently we had met in Argentina when Open Letter first started. She first started this press. We were started at the exact same time. So you have almost the same number of books, lot of overlap between the two presses. It was really fantastic to meet her and I just didn't remember, 11 years ago having had this conversation. So yeah, that was great. Everything about it was fantastic. One minor exception. And the airlines. But yeah, other than that, it was cool. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Same old here.
Good Black Friday sales for you guys?
No, we don't really do Black Friday. It's not really... I don't know look, I don't know how other bookstores that aren't in like New York City or whatever feel about their traffic on Black Friday, but I don't know. I guess because we're more of a bar, it's just we're not the place people are rushing to at 11 a.m. the day after Thanksgiving.
Right.
I also don't think our customers are the kind that are seeking out Black Friday deals or whatever, or doing their holiday shopping. Most of my customers probably don't really like go too deep into the big holiday spending budgets kind of thing. It's a more slow, steady sort of flow of customers coming in buying things as gifts.
Yeah. I just wonder if there's like the people just like naturally turn it on at that point and are like, oh, I'll go buy some stuff today. So I feel like I've just been lying around watching football all day.
I mean, that might happen. I don't think it's. I just don't think it's our particular set of customers. I think they're more likely to just hibernate all day on that day and avoid all of the people rushing out to Best Buy and Target and whatever.
Yeah, I had to go. I had to go out on Black Friday for glasses appointment, and there weren't that many people out. Like it was surprising to me. Like I thought that there would be like far more people and it'd be crowded and be annoying, but there weren't. And I wonder if people are just sort of getting over that a little bit. We need to stop buying so much shit.
Well, yeah. The other thing is, like, I don't know if you've seen on Twitter or wherever, just people sort of, anti-materialist this and no buy nothing Friday or whatever.
Yeah.
It's certainly a growing thing. I mean, REI a few years ago very publicly said, we're just not going to be open on that day. Our staff should spend it with their families. I mean, they can afford to do it, obviously,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I think there's definitely a growing trend away from the hyper-focused sort of spending sprees. And I think my customer base is very attuned to that sort of thing in general. That said, I don't know if you've been following, it wasn't like a huge thing on Twitter, but Cyber Monday, i.e. day that everyone buys shit on Amazon, basically crushed the shipping business industry across the country.
That's hilarious.
Is it? And 5 days for fucking books that normally come 2 days, and when I start asking where they are, at least anecdotally from my UPS driver, it's because they're being crushed under the weight of fucking packages coming from Amazon.
Yeah, okay. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny. It's like there's like a logistical problem that people are still getting too much shit.
It's not a logistical problem. It's that fucking Bezos gets to dictate how logistics work, and then everyone else just takes the second seat, and everything coming out of his warehouses gets primacy over everything else.
Yeah. That's true. They've got a lot of everything. I mean, they buy the Sunday delivery service from USPS. So yeah, they've altered the whole fabric of everything. I had a weird dream about being on a panel with a bookseller about Amazon. It was very, very, very specifically real. And the person was like complaining about Amazon. I was like, look, the thing that you really need to focus on is not complaining about Amazon, but it's complaining about people's behaviors, because people just want shit fast and they want what Amazon's giving them. And you as a store can't give them that. But the problem is that and you need to change the way that people think or that we act, not all the other stuff. And then the person got up and left left the room in my dream.
I mean, yes, people are the problem, but the problem is that they're selfish and they don't understand the larger picture, and they don't understand that buying things from Amazon is bad for everyone except Amazon.
So let's stop talking about Amazon. That's all fine, but I know you don't have much time, and I've got a game for you, and this does relate to what we were just talking about. So most every article I write is inspired by Sam Miller, the baseball writer for ESPN now, formerly of Baseball Prospectus and on the Effectively Wild podcast, because he comes up with crazy ass ideas for talking about stuff, and it's always very interesting. And he had one a few weeks ago about a magical baseball genie. For every team, you got a choice where you got one thing that was good and one thing that was bad as a result. And you had to take both of these. You had to decide whether to take this deal or not. So for instance, for the Mets, you either get no Bernie Madoff's involvement. If you take that Bernie Madoff is not involved at all in the Mets, so the Mets are rich and don't have all their money problems and trying to get out of debt. But you also do not get Noah Syndergaard. Would you take that deal or not? Essentially is the question. So I started thinking of ones for you related to book selling and to publishing. And I came up with a few I asked people to help me out, and nobody did. And I think I could come up with more as we talk, but I have one right here at the beginning that I think will be the perfect segue from the Amazon talk into this sort of game. So here is my devil's bargain. Like you have to take both conditions of this. You can't choose one or the other. It's a one package deal. So here is my devil's bargain for you. Amazon never gets bigger than all independent bookstores added together. So they never have more of the market share than all independent bookstores. They're absolutely equal. However, you never get to own Riff Raff.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Took a second. So yep.
I would find something else to do. It's not the end of the world. My ego is not not tied to this place that much. Yeah, I really don't think people understand just how dangerous Amazon's growth is to the world.
So you would
scenario in which it could be stopped, and one little bookstore / bar in one small American city doesn't exist. Yeah, I can take that.
Well, it's not stopped entirely. It's just never bigger than. So like whatever. So like if independent bookstores make up 25% of the market, Amazon makes up 25% of the market. They're always exactly the same.
Yeah, but independent bookstores are not 25% of the market.
They would be if you reduce Amazon sales. So like, yeah, I didn't sit down and figure out the exact details, but we'll just go with that. That if Amazon were smaller, they just can't be bigger. Their market size is the same as all independent bookstores in this world that I'm positing. And you would take that and have no riffraff.
Yes, I would.
Anyway, okay. Okay. Here's the other one that I came up with. It's more, I guess, for Emma, but you can answer it too. Translators get paid 5 times the amount that they currently get paid. However, there are only 200 translations published every single year.
So the same amount of money is being spent on translations. It's just going to fewer people.
Exactly.
Oof.
That one's really tough.
I think she would not take that.
So she'd go with like lower pay, more books.
Yeah.
I think so too. I mean, what if it was 10 times the money? I mean, it depends, I suppose, on whether you're one of those translators.
I mean, 10 times. I mean, that's just absurd. That's not even real. I mean, that's absurd.
Yeah, but you only have to do one book a year because there's only one book a year coming out.
No, that's just crazy.
You say, but that's part of the game. Of course, it's crazy. It's not realistic. But I would think I would choose more books too. Although I don't know, with all the stuff about people getting compensated for translations, it is tempting to say like, oh, if we could up that at the expense of some of these books that are fine, but don't necessarily need to be translated. Maybe that would be good. I don't know.
But going down to, what did you say, 200 from
600 or whatever it is.
That seems bad. That seems bad for culture at large.
There's a lot of things that are bad for culture at large. Those are the two main ones I came up with.
That's it? That's all you got?
That's all I got. No, I had other ones that were going to be related to I had one for Open Letter that I was trying to posit of that we win a major award, like a National Book Award. However, we never published Matthias and Nard.
What do you care about that at this point?
I think that I would choose not to win the award because the awards are dumb, but to have Anard's books on our backlist. That made a big difference for the press. So I think I would choose that.
You wouldn't take, I mean, screw Anard, like the idea of that in general. You wouldn't take a Nobel Prize winner.
I said National Book Award.
What the fucking National Book Award? Who cares?
Okay.
Nobel
Prize.
It doesn't sell even a tenth of the number of books that a Nobel Prize does, and you know that.
I know, but the sales aren't what's important within this one for me. It's the recognition. You
wouldn't take a Nobel Prize from somebody on your list whom you publish exclusively in exchange for no one of your books ever selling more than 500 copies a year.
Oh, shit. I would take the Nobel Prize. I'll take that. I'll take that deal. Nobel Prize, no book sells. Except for that one, apparently.
For that year, but for the rest of eternity, no one book will sell more than 500 copies.
Oh. That's tough. You know what? No, I think I wouldn't take that. I think I'll pass.
I mean, to quote you just a minute ago, awards are dumb.
Awards are dumb, but we need some respect, and the awards provide respect. But yeah, so I think I'll take but I'll forego the Nobel Prize in favor of all the books that we do selling 700 copies instead of 500 copies.
I mean, it adds up.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe one of them will sell 3,000 copies. Yeah, I think I'd take that. I was trying to think of other ones for bookstores, like that you would you take that your bookstore makes $1 million a year in profit. However, none of the books you want to sell, people buy. They only buy like J.K. Rowling and Ayn Rand.
I mean, no, I would not. I mean, at that point, though, I wouldn't have to be here. So
it's true. Yeah, see?
I could just not. I would not have to be aware of what people were buying at that point. I could just hire a manager to order all the Harry Potter and Ayn Rands that you need.
and that's all you ever sell. That would be amazing. Yeah, so I'm trying to think of other ones that were good. I had a bunch of them one day when I was first thought of this, but we couldn't do the podcast then, so they all went away out of my mind. But you could come up with some too.
I mean, that's all I got is the award one. I think you're kidding yourself, and I think you value awards. I mean, perhaps rightfully so. That recognition is not always the worst thing.
No, so you think we should take the Nobel Prize winner, and the book's just not selling? The thing that's sad about that though is like there's so many books that are underappreciated. If 500 were the right audience for the books, then it would be a no-brainer. But I don't know that that's the case. There's so many underappreciated books that deserve slightly larger audiences than 500. So that one is tough. That is a perfect devil's dilemma.
I just don't know. Yeah, how do you find those other people? Is the eternal question, right?
The other more than 500 readers.
Yeah,
I mean, most of our books sell more than 500 copies, so there's something. There's someone out there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It is tough. I'm trying to think of what else is going on to talk to you about aside from these crazy questions.
What else is going on? I feel like nothing really happened in the last week except, God, it's been 3 weeks since we did this.
Yeah, because we were going to do it on Thanksgiving week.
Oh, right. I was too busy. So, yeah, I really am drawing a blank. Sold some books. Feel like that was about it. Had a party.
I haven't even been on Twitter for stuff like that, so I'm not following anything. I was just looking through like Publishers Weekly stuff yesterday for the first time in a while too, trying to catch up on what's going on. But there didn't seem to be anything of interest. Nothing's happening.
No, not in the book world.
No,
it's everyone's year-end lists and incorrectly published best of the decade lists. I maintain that the decade ends next year.
Well, that's what I said. I said that on the 2-month review thing, and Anthony told me I was ridiculous. Yeah, the decade ends next year. You end at 10. You don't end at 9.
1. You start at 1, you end at 10.
Yes. So, yeah. I'm 100% on board with this. He was like, "What are you talking about? Like, that's nonsense. Like, you don't say like it's the 20s, like or like the 10s. Like, it's gonna end at 19. It doesn't end at 20. It's like I don't care. You do year 1, January 1st, year 1 was the beginning, and December 31st, year 10 was the end of the first decade."
Right. So in Anthony's model, like, so the first 9 years of recorded whatever, BCE, or no, whatever the
No,
fuck.
AD.
Doesn't it have a new name now?
I don't know, man.
CE.
Probably.
CE.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's CE and BCE. Anyway,
Right.
so the first 9 years of CE are a decade, and then every 10 years after that are decades. So the first one is only 9 years. It's not actually a decade.
Right.
Right? Because
Right.
there's no year zero.
No.
See, this is the logical flaw in the entire problem. Like, you need 10 years each time to have a decade.
Yep. Yep. I totally agree. 100% agree. Yeah, I've stopped looking at those lists because they bum me out. There's one book in particular, I'm not going to say what it is, but there's one book in particular that I have read. It's by an author that we both know. And when that book shows up on the list, I immediately discount the list entirely and think that it's garbage. Because there's no possible way that one of the 10 best books of this year or anything is this particular title. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm not going to tell you if you guess it, but it's become my bellwether of like, if I see one of these lists and I see this cover, it's like immediately closed, not looking at it.
I truly have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, you definitely do. But there is with it related to that. Did you see we didn't talk about the 10 best translated novels of the decade? Yeah, we did. Yeah, from LitHub, their dumb thing.
LitHub, come on.
Yeah, it's nonsense. Yeah, I'm not looking at any of these lists anymore because I just feel like they're silly, and they're not good for anything.
Yeah, it's funny. So one of my reps was in here the other night, and he's a rep. This is his job. But he was asking me like if specific books were selling well for us, and blah blah blah. He was like, "Oh, even." And I said, "No, a few copies, nothing incredible." He's like, "Oh, but National Book Award and New York Times 10 best of the year." I was like, none of my customers have come in and asked for that book based on those reasons, nor do they ask for any other book based on those reasons. I'm not saying that my customers are completely oblivious to the 10 best New York Times 10 best of the year. I'm just saying I don't know that it actually drives people to buy things, at least in a bookstore. I think the people who are probably swayed by those things, the vast majority, because I'm sure there are people like my mother who probably see that list and are like, "Oh, I really want that. That sounds great. I hadn't heard of it yet, but I'm going to go buy it in the bookstore," right? I think the vast majority of these people are just fucking clicking on Amazon and buying it that way, right? Because they don't,
Probably.
right? If they have not heard of that book until then, like they're not what I would consider like a serious book person. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it took us the New York Times publishing a list at the end of the year for you to hear of like Ben Lerner's book.
I was just gonna make fun of that.
What?
It was the one I was just gonna make fun of.
Ben Lerner?
Yeah,
Why?
that it's on this list. I don't care for him. I don't
I
care
don't
for his books at all.
really. I did not like the first one and didn't even get very far into the second. But I'm reading the current one and it's actually quite good.
I don't believe you. You can have that opinion if you want. We'll never open that book.
But I got a free copy and yeah, it's quite good.
The last thing I need is another dude telling me about his fucking life.
I mean, look, I agree, but it's actually pretty good. But yeah, my point being, like, I understand why publishers and sales reps and sales teams and all these sorts of things like value these year-end lists and all that sort of stuff, because it does. I think Emma has said this to people, because we get every once in a while we'll get people like our booksellers or like trying to think who else recently asked us. I think just like, a small published a writer who lives here who was asking like, what is this indie next thing, right? And we tried to explain it, and like the best way to explain it is like it's display fodder for booksellers who don't have time to like peruse thousands and thousands of books, right? It's like a cheat sheet for setting up a monthly display of new books, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I think these year-end lists end up becoming as well. Like, not that, oh God, I'm blanking on the name. Politics and Prose isn't capable of doing like very thoughtful, smart displays, their store is so big and they have so many displays that of course they're going to do like the New York Times 10 best of the year, the Washington Post 10 best of the year kind of thing, because why not, right? Like they're going to use these things. And so then that benefits the publishers because they're going to ship a few more copies, and just getting the book in the store is half the fucking battle, right? Mm-hmm. Getting it into a pile on a table is literally half the battle. If you can get that, if you can get that accomplished, there's a good chance you'll sell more books, right? Whether or not anybody on staff has read it, whether or not anyone is hand selling it, it needs to be in the store in a pile to be sold. And these year-end lists do a hell of a job in terms of that sort of stuff. And I understand that for publishers, but it's not universal by any means. And each store is different. Each store's customers react differently to those sorts of things. Some, like, there's all this talk about Bookshop and, online sales and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I truly have no idea if anyone is ever going to buy a book from our website. Like, it just seems crazy. Like, people value us as a physical space, and like to suddenly convince people to be buying things through Bookshop on our website. I don't know. I'm willing to give it a try just because I'm curious, but yeah, I don't know. I think the omnipresence of the web as a shopping tool and a promotional tool is somewhat, and this sounds crazy, a little overvalued. I do think there is still space in the world for human interaction and human and physical sort of ways of sharing information and, sharing enthusiasm and sharing recommendations and all those sorts of things.
So segueing from that, did you read the article in Publishers Weekly about Bookshop?
No, I didn't. I missed that.
It's from a while ago now. It's from October. I keep meaning to bring it up to you, but I just pulled it up to be able to quote from it. So Bookshop is the new IndieBound that's going to be an online retailer that that has an affiliate program so that authors and translators and publishers can link to it and get a kickback for any books that are sold through Bookshop, which is a fucking dumb name, by the way. I'm having a hard time taking that seriously. But then apparently 10% of all the sales will go into a pool, and every independent bookstore that is partnered with Bookshop will get a cut of that every 6 months. So are you going to sign up for this?
We are, and with the understanding that obviously we can pull the plug at any time we feel like. I am supportive of okay, let me back up one step. People are not going to stop buying books on the internet. That is just never going to stop. That ship has sailed. We are never going to convince everyone to start using independent bookstores in person again, right? There are some people just want the fucking book, and that's that. They don't actually want to go to the store. They don't have time. Maybe they don't live near a good one, whatever. There are a million reasons why people buy books online, and I can't really fault them for it. People can choose to do these things however they like. So that's going to happen. Amazon just happens to be such a horrible corporation for so many reasons beyond the fact that they're forcing small businesses to close. Just, the way they treat their staff, their the way they treat their drivers, the warehouse employees, the fact they don't pay taxes. There's so many reasons that Amazon is bad. So that if there can be a competitor to Amazon, I fully support that. Do I need to be a part of it? No. I'm glad it exists. But I'm curious, because if I sign up for it, I get to see what goes through my website, my affiliate page or whatever. I get to see that data. I'm curious to see that data. And I'm curious to see what, my share of that 10% pool is. Then I can extrapolate how much money they're making, right? And I probably won't be able to share this information publicly, but I'm genuinely curious to see how this is going to work. And I'm curious enough to sort of throw a link up on my website and do a minimal amount of sort of curating my little corner of Bookshop for that. It's funny. Every time I say say Bookshop, I think I'm wrong. I feel like it should be better. And I'm just like, Bookshop, is that it?
I had that same experience because when I was Googling it, I was like, that can't really be the name of it. It has to be something else. I must be misremembering this. But
Right. It just
it's
seems like
not.
nope, it is.
It really is. Huh. I wish people could name things better. Just generally. Um, yeah, I would be curious. It's going live in less than a month. I'd be really curious if it lasts for more than 5 years.
I think it's after Winter Institute.
Oh, okay. They say this thing is out of date. Obviously, it's from October. It said they'll be live in January.
I think the very end of January.
Yeah,
I think
that makes
right
sense.
after, yeah, because Winter Institute is like the last
It's like the
24th,
21st or something like that.
something like that. So yeah, and like because they're setting it up now. I mean, I only last week agreed to be a part of it, and she sent me all this information about how to like set it up and whatever, like back end sort of thing. And she's like, clearly you're not going to have time right now, and just do it after the new year. I was like, okay, great. So they're clearly like working hard on their end, but it's going to take most of January, I would imagine, for all of the partners to be able to sync up everything.
Do you know what their website's going to be? Is it going to be bookshop.com?
I assume so.
Because that it says that I just went to that and it said that the you can get a quote on bookshop.com that domain may be available.
I can't. Let me see what her email said for.
That would be funny if someone just bought it from them.
Okay.
Like they did everything except for the one crucial step, locking down the domain name.
Okay. All right. So I do have. It's bookshop.org.
Oh, .org. Okay. They should have both though.
Yeah, but this day and age, you can have like custom URL endings. So, like, what are you just going to buy up literally every letter combination? It just seems crazy.
No, but like the com one is usually a big one because then you can just redirect it. But like most people aren't going to think of org. Like if they type in bookshop, they'll probably type in bookshop.com and that should just reroute you to this one.
Also,
The launch date is January 28th, 2020.
yeah, there we go. It also, is it a nonprofit? It seems crazy that it's an org.
But it's part of the ABA, correct?
It is not, no.
So yeah, so what is it?
It has to be separate because it's a for-profit.
But then why are they using the .org?
I think anybody can get a .org. I could have opened Riffraff with a .org. It doesn't actually mean anything.
That's silly though.
I agree, but I mean...
That seems dishonest, actually.
It's debatable, for sure.
If you're a .org, that's usually like if you're an organization, nonprofit organization, .org is symbolizing that, is signifying that and indicating that you are a nonprofit open for donations. If this is a for-profit thing, that's kind of shitty. I don't know. I'm not going to buy books from it. I'll tell you that right now. It's not going to happen.
Why? But you're just going to go on using Amazon? Because...
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to use this. You know more or less why. I have no interest in dealing with supporting this enterprise.
I mean, look, I don't think the ABA does a whole lot right anyway, but this is not part of the ABA.
No, I know.
So
it's part of something else, though.
I mean, sure. The people involved, I understand,
Yeah, also they don't sell ebooks.
No, I don't think that's the point. I think there's discussion of doing it in the future.
Which yeah, would make sense, but it doesn't necessarily need to either. But I don't know.
It doesn't necessarily need to. It would just sort of bolster obviously sales. It would bolster their ability to compete with Amazon, and then obviously bookstores would get more, and for the first time in a real way, get an opportunity to compete in that way. Because what the fuck is it? No, Nook is the Barnes & Noble one.
Yeah, it was the Sony one was the one that had the agreement with booksellers way back when, wasn't it?
Right.
Or actually, no. It wasn't. It was Kobo.
Kobo, yeah. Which I don't know. I mean, I saw it in a few indie stores. I don't really. My impression was that booksellers had to spend a lot of time trying to educate people who might be wanting to buy it how to use the damn thing in the first place, and
yeah,
like a waste of time, basically. Anyway,
It'll be interesting.
yeah. I hope my decision to participate doesn't bite me in the ass. I don't think it
I don't know how
will.
it would, unless you cannibalize your own sales somehow. But I
Well,
don't think that that's
yeah,
possible.
that's the fear, right? Is that somebody, rather than emailing us to say, "Hey, do you currently have a copy of, I'm trying to think of like what's a common, like Kindred in stock," instead of me saying, "Yes, I pulled it off the shelf, come by whenever," they just order it through there. And I obviously would make more money if they came to my store and bought it than I
Yeah.
would have bought it online, and I just get a share of it, right?
Right, you get like the whatever the kickback is going to be. That's not indicated
Not
on here. It just says that it'll be higher than Amazon's.
right. I forget what it is, but I think it's like 20% of sales. I think 20% of all sales that go through my link.
Oh wait, here it is. Those who use the platform to sell books through links on their own websites, newsletters, and on social media will earn 25% of the list price on each book sold, in addition to their share of the revenue pool.
Right. So 25 versus 40, 45, right? So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
adds, it adds up. Plus, the opportunity to get that person in my store to buy perhaps another book,
yep,
perhaps a cup of coffee, perhaps a beer. You know what I
yep.
mean? So
Yeah, I don't, I can't, I have a hard time thinking that it'll be like significant enough of people moving that way that it would screw you. I just think
it's
that like
also
it's going to be
it's
like one of these other times that people have tried to launch like an Amazon competitor, and you have like a huge prime mover problem that's like almost insurmountable. That I think it's going to end up being like a relatively modest audience that uses this on a very regular basis.
so the thing that'll be interesting, and I don't know how much of this is public information, so I'm not going to say it yet. But if they can convince the mass online publishers, let's say, the New York Times. Let's say they can convince the New York Times to, every time they mention a book and there's a hyperlink in there, to disassociate from Amazon and to put in Bookshop. That would be huge. That would be massive.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. I think that they would have both.
Disagree. I think it is possible. I think the tide is shifting on Amazon. I think it's possible. I think it's possible. I'm not saying it's going to be a widespread thing that every major news corporation is going to switch over. I think a lot of them will just be like, well, but our customers won't have accounts to that, and blah blah blah, and we don't want to upset them and whatever. But I think it's possible, and I know they have one already signed up, one major online presence.
I hope you, LitHub. I hope you say Washington Post because that would be funny.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
So I can as an influencer or a book club set up my own shop and get 25% of all the books that we sell through there, which makes me think that I kind of want to do that.
You should.
I just want to be an influencer, make a little scratch out of getting people to buy our books through this website. Although we would make less money, but I would personally gain from it.
Yes,
So
exactly.
like I'm just shifting the money from Open Letter to me.
Right. Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, well, I mean, with all the posts and all the reviews they write, like those ones would make sense to like. Those aren't our books generally. Like all the Charco Press books that we've done this past month, those aren't. We're not getting anything out of that. We don't get anything out of it. So that would make more sense there.
You should do. I mean, you would be stupid not to. Frankly, why
Yeah.
not?
I don't know. There's no reason why not. It's just one more thing to do. I mean, that's maybe why not is like just the time of it. But like, but no, I'll email them. I'll email David Rose.
Okay, here you go. You don't want to do it? You can just use the riffraff one.
Yeah, but I need to have my own. I need to have my own setup so that I can get cash.
Like, if you're too lazy to get that money, I'll take the money.
No, I'm totally gonna do it. I didn't realize that they just let anybody set up their own thing.
Well, I mean, that's the way Amazon does it.
Yeah, I know, but I've never signed up for that because it seemed like the wrong
Gross.
thing to do. But I know that that's how Complete Review makes a decent amount of money from all the affiliate traffic that they get.
Right. So I just thought of something. I
Yeah.
haven't seen it go up yet, but I know that I forget which side of the whole thing. Either Two Lines or whatever their blog is called, or CAT is doing a best translation of the decade list, but they're not ranking them or anything. It's just like a compiled list, and they took all of the nominations were from booksellers. So Emma and I got emailed, and I'm sure everyone we know got emailed by Chad over at who's at Two Lines now, and asked everyone to nominate a couple books, best translation of the decade, your favorite translation. Maybe it's not best. Maybe the word is favorite translation of the decade. It's funny. It took some thinking to figure out what to nominate. Because it's hard to parse years. Emma and I both immediately were like, what year was 2666? Like,
it's before, I believe.
No, 2008.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. What decade are you using?
This decade.
Yeah. So that one, so 2666 is before, doesn't count.
Yeah, right.
That's
So
what I said.
Yeah. So it was the last decade. I ended up nominating Emma's translation because, I do actually think it's pretty fucking good. It's famous.
Got a log roll a little bit there. You probably would. Yeah, that's probably for the best.
But otherwise, I think I would have nominated The Map and the Territory, which I think is still quite a masterpiece.
So when is this thing going to be up on here?
I don't know. Like I said, this email got sent out to us a few weeks back. And, I think they were just compiling the nominations, and I don't know, like, what the threshold was going to be. Like, if something got 3, it would get up there or whatever, but, yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I don't even know. Like, I'm trying to find, like, on their blog, like, where their blog would be or where this would come up. I'm not sure that I know.
Right.
Like, what part of their website it would appear at. But, cool. That'll be fun to see.
What would you...
Oh, Jesus. I don't know.
It's hard. It's hard when you have to think like a whole fucking decade of books,
Hold on. I'll come up with mine later, and maybe I'll make it into a post since this is the end of posts for a very long time. In 2020, there's a whole new scheme. Every year I have a different scheme. Like the 2018 one was a very long game of like explaining things that had to go down into like a certain space. There's a whole arc to it, a whole arc to every post that was in that year that nobody ever picked up on because nobody pays attention to things, but not that closely. And then this year was like every month was a different thing. So for 2020, I'm not doing that because I'm writing this book for interviewing for my class. As part of my class, I'm going to just be working on that instead. So I'm going to just crank out a bunch of random shit before the end of this year and then just peace out for like 6 months. I think I'm only going to write statistical analyses one a month for the website and just not have anything, not evaluate books, not talk about books, not do anything like that anymore for a little while I finish this much larger project. So
okay.
I'll look through the whole list because I have the whole decade in the translation database and come up with a few things. The other thing that I was going to talk to you about that you just reminded me of was your Manchette article.
Oh, right.
I totally forgot about that. Like I had it open and then it just blanked on bringing it up. So we'll have to do it next time.
Okay.
Because I know that you're going to have to go. But yeah, because it was an LARB, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or BLARB.
LARB. Yeah. I pitched it to them and wasn't because I read the book and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is fucking amazing, and it got me thinking and I was like, who the fuck do I pitch an article to? And that's who I ended up thinking of, and Boris was very receptive and basically said, do whatever you want, and that was that. Took me forever to write it. That's all I know.
I'll link to it if I can find it. I don't know why it's not coming up here now. I'll link to it on the show notes for this so that people can read it, and then we can talk about it more next time that we do this.
Which will be
in 2 weeks. Which would be on Christmas.
On Christmas. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
Let's just do it next week.
We can do it Christmas Eve.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, the morning of Christmas Eve. Well, okay. I don't know. We'll have to figure this out. Maybe Monday. We might have to do it Monday.
That's fine. Whatever day is fine. The 23rd.
23rd, yeah.
Cool. Okay, I don't have anything else for you right now, and I know you have to go, so... do you have any recommendations or anything?
Like I said, Speak School, Ben Lerner, pretty fucking good.
Nope.
Oh,
not doing it. Definitely not doing it. Dissenting opinion.
You should look up this book called Dead Fashion Girl. I think you'd really like it.
What's it about?
It's a sort of true crime thing. I mean, it is of a cold case. A young woman, a fashion girl, in the term of the Times in London, is killed. Basically, coming home very late at night. Suburbs of London, 1950. I want to say 56.
54.
54. And so it's an examination of why the investigation into her murder never produced any witnesses or it resulted in any convictions or anything like that. But it's also a very historical sort of examination of what London was like at that time, i.e. post-war, sort of rebuilding itself, trying to figure out exactly what was going on, grappling with, social issues and that sort of thing, and especially in and around like the fashion world, the movies and plays and theater, and then like the club scene, the late night club scene, and all that sort of stuff. It's just the most far-reaching literary version of like a cold crime investigation thing you will ever read. It's fucking incredible. Just so well written and so smart and so like aware of the genre and then just exploiting it and one-upping it at every fucking turn. It's so good.
Cool. Yeah, that looks pretty interesting. There on MIT's website for it, they have this thing called online attention where they have like a chart. It's like a circle that looks like a braided circle, and if you mouse over it, it'll show you the online attention data for this book. And so far, this has been tweeted by 5 people and is on 1 Facebook page.
I have to be. Riff Raff definitely is one of these people. So
I'm going into deeper. I'm exploring further. All 5 are from the U.S. Anthony, let me tell you one joke. Anthony and I were fucking around yesterday. We were looking for, because Cars on Fire by Monica Ramon Rios, the copies came in yesterday, comes out in April, and we were looking to see if there was any song called Cars on Fire, and there are, obviously, a number of songs called Cars on Fire, one of which has been listened to twice. Twice. Now 3 times. It has been heard in Beverly Hills, Miami, Florida, and Rochester, New York. I love it. I used to play this game where on YouTube, if someone sends a YouTube video, you go to the side, like where it has the related videos, and choose the one with the fewest number of views and keep going down that rabbit hole until you find the lowest number you can. And it's always like some fucking bizarre ass thing. Like someone like filming themselves moving into a house, like stuff that doesn't need to exist. It's a pretty fun game though to see like what is the least popular thing you can find. Like instead of going forwards, take whatever someone sent you and go back into the depths of there being no one has seen these videos. One last thing, did you know that Utopia is finished filming for HBO? For Amazon.
Oh God!
So you won't be able to see it, but they're finishing the story.
That's what I was going to ask. If they're finishing it or rebooting?
Rebooting it, but with the intent of, because I think that he had written 4 series of it or 3 series of it, and this will finish it when it's all done.
Interesting.
Yep, and it's done by Gillian Flynn.
Glad. I mean, as a piece of art, I think Utopia is amazing, and do hope that it is given its chance to complete its story.
Yeah, me too. I want to rewatch it now.
I've seen it twice already, so.
Me too, but it's been 6 years.
Yeah.
Easily. It was so long ago that I was way into that. I remember getting you involved in it, and then like we were both obsessed with it. The other show that I've been obsessed with right now is Killing Eve, though, which I had not seen the second season, and I was a little bit messed up trying to watch the last episode, so I didn't really pay attention to it. So I've got to rewatch the last episode of season 1. But that show is great.
See, I liked season 1, and then the last episode I was kind of disappointed in, and we just haven't gotten around to season 2 yet, despite Emma pleading with me like weekly to figure out a way for us to watch it.
It just came out on Hulu like last week.
Oh, there you go. That makes it easy.
Yeah, that's what I was, because I was watching season 1, and then it was like, oh, now as of today, season 2 is now available. So so I gotta catch up, and I want to watch it, but I really quite like, and it reminds me of Utopia, because I think they take a lot of visual cues from Utopia in some of the blocking for that show, but it's pretty fun.
All right, I gotta open my store.
Okay, go have fun. I'll talk to you later.
Later, thanks.